What brings you here today?
I'm here in Austin because it's an awesome freaking city, and there are lots of beautiful people here who care about freedom. And I was just speaking at Brave New Books, and I had a great time. And really, because it's part of the American Campfire Freedom Tour, and thanks to everybody who donated to make it possible for us to be on the road giving away freedom. Freedom is free. We're able to tour the entire country, and it's just it's great to put the tool that this book represents in the hands of people who will use it. And the crowd we had tonight, as we always do at Brave New Books, was a really enthusiastic crowd of activists.
Let's go back in time a little bit before the book. That because this kind of sparked the entire book. It sparked the tour. I don't know if you had plans on writing a book prior to.
No, the idea for the book came to me when I was in jail.
Yes.
And
can we go back a little farther down and explain?
I was in jail for loading a shotgun in Washington D.C. and it's actually really exciting to see now that was part of a process where in the district they are really asserting gun rights. I mean, in Texas, you guys are pushing an envelope that's very open already, and in D.C. it's started from a much more closed point. But when I did that, I violated a bunch of laws that have now been judged unconstitutional, and D.C. is in the process of very slowly but very deliberately relaxing their gun laws.
Recognizing people's rights. Yeah.
Thank you. I should be interviewing him. Yeah, no, because that's really what it's about. And if I may, the thing about gun rights isn't about guns. It's not about guns. And if anything, I'm really, as much as I'm pro-gun, pro-natural rights, from a personal taste perspective, I'm kind of anti-gun. I'd rather have Star Trek phasers, and when we have that in gun, a firearm, if you can stop another body that is a threat to you without destroying the value of that life, I think the market in the long term is going to show a clear preference for that over a firearm that is physically destructive. But for where we are now,
as long as I don't have to get a chip inserted into my palm that works with it, that also tracks my every move for the government.
By the time I'm talking about here, government will have long since been rendered obsolete. And what I was saying about gun rights not being about guns, it's about natural rights. You have a right to own property. I don't need the Second Amendment. I don't need words on paper that any idiot can see are intended to protect a natural right, because I'm a human being. I'm free. I can own property. I don't care if you call it a gun or a firearm or a black powder pistol or shotgun or whatever.
Absolutely.
I am a human being. I get to own property. That's part of what it means to be a natural right-holding person.
Absolutely.
And asserting that in the realm of gun rights is so important because it challenges people's fundamental values around that. When they think, about security and lethal force and protecting yourself or protecting your family, and raising all of those issues makes it a great gateway to freedom. Like smoking pot. Yes, it's a gateway drug because you cannot smoke pot and not have the gateway to realizing that the government is totally full of crap. And it's the same thing with guns. When you see the gun regulations and it's like, well, here you've got these laws and here you've got these laws, and like you cross this imaginary line on a map in between Virginia and D.C., and I'm doing something legal in Virginia with my shotgun, and then I'm doing something illegal in D.C., you have to, if you have any kind of intellectual integrity, resolve those, those differences. And that's, it's really cool to see the work that you're doing here, the work that I humbly would think that I had some role in inspiring, and to
Absolutely.
see that gun rights activists all over the country going,
I will tell you that a couple of years ago when you were insisting, remember you were going to have the march, was it in Virginia?
From Virginia through D.C.
Yes,
yeah.
when you were going to have that march and you called on all 50 states to kind of do their own thing and we organized one, and we did one at our capital, and that was kind of one of the first large gun rights rallies that I was privy to or involved in. And I've been around guns my entire life, but that really showed me. And then I started doing research in all the other states, and I realized that Texas just sucks on gun laws. We really do. When you look at the other states, we're so far behind, and people look at us like we're gun-toting cowboys around here, and it's not even. It's so far from the truth. It's ridiculous, But
Well, events like that brought together all over the country the gutsy people who are willing to say, no, deadly force is not a reason to shy away from an issue. We can do this reasonably, responsibly, in a way that moves freedom forward. And it was really cool to see that the groups that came up here in Texas are people who are willing to walk around with guns on their hips, knowing that they're going to get body slammed at the Capitol. And I mean, you've had guys get their ribs broken. I mean, like, hello, this is Texas. You get your ribs broken for open carrying where the government doesn't want you
for doing something legal.
Yeah, that's technically
yes.
and naturally completely legal.
How much time transpired after that event before they actually came to your house?
I believe it was 5 days. It was July 4th that we did that, and July 9th that we got raided by more men than they sent after bin Laden, and 2 helicopters.
Were you anticipating?
And an armored vehicle. Not enough.
Yeah.
And not that. And I'm totally comfortable admitting that it was relatively poorly thought out civil disobedience. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I like to quote my favorite statist on this one, Donald Rumsfeld, with all of his snowflakes at the Defense Department. He said regarding Iraq, when he was sending guys like me into combat without proper body armor or vehicle armor, you don't go to war with the armor you wish you had, you go to war with the armor you have. And that really applies to activism too. You can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And if I get to play big and screw up big, hey, I'm happy to be doing that and waking people up and having an impact on a major scale, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not living up to my own potential. We advance, we move forward, we learn from these things. And for me, the learning was getting to true freedom. And this is the book. You can get it for free online in every digital format possible. There are no intellectual property right claims to this. You can change a sentence, put your name on the cover, and please go sell more copies.
Awesome. But they raided your house, confiscated your guns, supposedly found some stuff at your house.
Everything they could have possibly wanted to get us in trouble with.
Yeah.
Very convenient. Matter because they came after me in a clear-cut case of what even the judge handling it in Virginia said was political persecution. There were 8 people in the house. I'm the only one that got taken away, and not a single other person even got questioned once. They were there because I made a YouTube video that made the government look bad.
Now, was it the Virginian police that showed up? I mean, who?
It was United
showed
States
up?
Park Police that initiated the raid, and they involved several other agencies, including Fairfax County and Herndon PD.
They
and
have
then they have
federal authority, though? I mean, how are they operating in Virginia?
United States Park Police had a federal warrant.
Okay.
Yeah. And they involve local agencies, as a courtesy. Mm-hmm. But it was really interesting.
In exchange for MRAPs.
Yeah, right. Which they were playing with and justifying. The United States Park Police, the guys that body slammed me for dancing at the Jefferson Memorial, they still have a ridiculous budget that they have to justify, and so they get to use me as an excuse to play with their toys. But
luckily nobody got injured during that.
Well, the closest we came, I got roughed up a little bit. I got my face shoved around, not bad. I mean, I was in handcuffs. Nothing worse than a rugby game, of course. And they led with a flashbang grenade that they threw in that landed under my dog's butt, like literally right behind him, and scared the crap out of him upstairs to his bed, which probably saved his life because they shoot dogs if they don't.
Oh, absolutely.
If they're not rolled over with their belly in the air.
Been many cases of that here in Texas as well.
Yeah, no, it's just one symptom of the police state.
So let's fast forward a little bit. So that happened. You end up going to jail. Did they bring you to Virginia? Did you go to D.C.? Where were you?
I started in Fairfax. I was there for 2.5 weeks. Did the first 3 days in a sort of torture situation of food and sleep deprivation because I refused to comply with fingerprinting and things like that and processing. Then I was transferred to D.C. and I was in solitary there for about 2 months, and then general population for about 2 months.
Okay. And in that 2 months, that's when you started writing the book.
Yeah. I started actually writing chunks separately and realized that there was this complete vision that needed to come together.
Okay.
Because, as you know, there's nothing like this in terms of what it represents as a tool. The fastest way to take people from zero to I get it. 100 pages, 3-hour audiobook, and the reception has been incredible.
Absolutely.
It's slow, and all good things are worth waiting for. We're developing a base for this. It's people who have read this, who for the rest of their lives, or at least, I shouldn't say that. until the state is ended, which will be within our lifetimes. You know, they're going to be sharing this, and you know, all the feedback that we've heard has just been absolutely in line with the intent of why we wrote this. And I say we because I had hundreds of people actually who read between the first and final draft and really helped make sure that this book was what I intended it to be, and to be true to the principles of what really is the ultimate way to communicate this message in line with nonviolent communication, no judgment, no opinion, no conjecture, no wishful thinking. It's not Amerocentric, it's globally applicable, because you know that as much as we look at the American government as the monstrosity that it is that affects our lives, the message of freedom has to be global, has to be universal to the human condition. And when you can present the message that way, you know, you can really open a lot of doors, and it's the book is blazing its own trail now.
Awesome, glad to hear it, man. Glad you stopped by and got to hang out with us again.
Hey, always happy in Austin. The last time I was here, we had an armed escort because these guys put it together, and
Absolutely.
you know, to have that kind of to feel that love when I'm not allowed to carry a firearm if I need it. You know, there are people who are willing to step up too. And if it wasn't for other people willing to step up, everything I was doing would be completely meaningless.
Anytime, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.